Guys and girls, we are on the T5 transporter. If you've seen any previous videos, there's a whole build series on it. If you haven't seen them, go check it out. Today, we're looking at the fuel gauge. Fuel gauge doesn't work. We've got a family trip planned tomorrow. I've picked up a level sensor, as I believe that's the issue. We'll get into those in a minute. I don't want to get soaked in diesel, but I think we might. Let's get into it. So, as mentioned, I have picked up one of these. It is a genuine VDO level sensor, level switch, whatever you want to call it. I did buy one off eBay, Chinese one, £8. Not only did it not work, no, that's wrong. It did work, but it read backwards and not very well. So I forked out and got a genuine VDO one, about 40 quid on eBay. And I think that's the issue. There is a lot of people having this trouble on the internet, so I thought I'd take a video on it or give you my take in a video on it. And I believe I've worked out what my issue is. There's a few common problems with the fuel gauge. Sometimes it's to do with, believe it or not, the ABS pump. That goes faulty. That makes the ABS light come on and you can have intermittent fuel gauge. I don't believe that's my issue. You can also have an issue with the loom, runs under this seat and runs down under to the tank. It's about 1 metre long and there's 4 wires in it and some of those wires break. I have already had my tank off to have a little look to see if I could fix anything. And while I was there, I looked at the wiring loom. There's 4 wires and I checked continuity with a voltmeter. Go round to the continuity, is it like a horseshoe? And some of them beep. So if you touch the 2 pins together, beep, they'll beep. 100% continuity. With the wires, you touch one end, and I beeped through all 4 wires and all 4 tested out all right. So that tells me it's not the wiring loom. It's the second time around. I know what I'm doing this time. I got soaked in diesel last time, hopefully not this time. I've got a genuine VDO sensor, the same as what's in there. Need to get it jacked up in the air. Need to get the tank down. And there is a screw in here in the fuel flap. That sits in there. There's a screw behind there. Pull the top out, pull the whole lot out. Then behind there is a T30 Torx. Unscrew him, jack the motor up. There's some under trays, plastic under trays. Some have Torx screws, some have 8mm headed hex. Mine were 8mm, mine are already off. They're over there, and I did pressure wash them while they're out. They was hanging with dirt inside and out, gave them a clean. Then there is the fuel cooler. That is held on with 4 13mm bolts, and there's 2 quick clips. That will leak, so have a pot, have a catch can, pull the pipe off and catch what's in there. Then there's 3 straps holding the tank on. Hopefully you haven't got a full tank, because it's quite heavy. Mine had half a tank and it squished me to the floor. Mine's a little bit less now. I'm going to get the tank on the floor, show you what we're up against. I will roll a time lapse so you can see what's involved. Let's get it. Well, that only took about 15 minutes. I have done it the other day, so I had a bit of practice. I did spill a little bit out of the fuel cooler, and I've left 1 pipe still attached. If you need to get your tank all the way out, you need to jack this up high. But if you're just going to play with the level sender, you can flip it to the side. So I have already grounded, I have already tested, because apparently this loom might be a bit longer than a metre, runs from here to the red plug under the seat. Apparently those wires break down. Mine look alright. Need to get these two hoses off. One of mine has already been broke. It is a clip like this. Let me show you. Crawling over on my knees. That is a green clip with the bottom pulled off. You need to push that in. Well, I'll do it with my finger on this one. Pushing the clip in. See that? Someone snapped mine off on my tank, but I have put that, I will put that in my pipe hopefully. So if I pull one off, just to show you how easy it is, push the little tab in, pull the pipe up. Easy as that. I need to spend the next 5 minutes wrestling this one off because there's a little bit of the clip in there but nothing to push onto, so I need to play about with this pick. I'll get it off. Well, that took a minute. Someone broke the clip out and there was just a little bit of blue plastic. Managed to get him out, got my new clip in. Remember, push the bit in, push the hose down, push the clip in, pull it out. I managed to do this the other day just by hand. Oh, ow. Sometimes you do need to use a hammer and screwdriver. Now this is the bit where I made the most mess last time. So what I'm going to do today, as soon as I get it out, pull the rubber out, I'm going to empty it. I had it balanced on the top. That then drained all over the tank and drained down the sides. I'm just going to empty this today. I'm not going to mess around because I don't want to get soaked in diesel. Diesel absolutely stinks. Oh no, not live. Just going to let that drain out. Well, it's mostly drained out and I'm just going to replace this. You can replace the whole thing. I saw on eBay you can get this whole assembly for about 60 quid, but guess what? It didn't have that on it. You had to put the one off your tank. You can buy genuine ones for about 300 quid. Well, my fuel pump worked. I have no issues with that. It's this piece. I did buy an 8 quid Chinese one, but it barely worked and it worked backwards. Yes, I did try swapping the wires, that didn't do it. So I spent £40 on this genuine VDO. Oh. Come on mate, help me out. So I'm going to pull the wires off, just going to put my hook pin in there, push the little tab down, pull the wires out. There's 2 little hooks or 2 little tabs. 1 tab, 2 tabs. There you go, it weren't so hard, was it? Slide it out, old one away, new one, bosh, straight in there. Sounded positive. Black wire on the left, straight in, blue wire on the right. Bosh. That is as easy as that. Now reassemble. You do need to put the rubber O-ring in the tank and then slide this. Don't put it up onto the side and then try sliding it in. But that is not it for me, for this one. I plan to install a diesel heater at a later date. So I'm going to do the pipe now. There's a little square. See that little square? Underneath there is a pipe. You'd be lucky if you could drill right through that, you'd be a good shot. But basically, I'm going to drill a hole through there put some of this copper brake line in and then a bit of hosing off it. Let me drill into this and I'll show you how it looks. I have got my piece of copper tubing. Now let me make sure you can see what's going on. I ended up drilling off centre in the square. Not a terrible thing, and you can see I just missed the yellow pipe thing. If I'd have gone a little bit more off centre, that would have given me even more room underneath. The bit of copper tube runs down, it's about 1 inch off the bottom so it never drains your tank, and I've cable tied it to this pipe, not moving anywhere, absolutely solid. And then I've got some 3mm silicone hose, it's quite a tight fit, slid it down and pushed it tight so that seals that copper tube into that plastic housing. I did use the exact same drill bit, or probably 1/2 mil smaller than the copper pipe, so it was quite tight to get the copper pipe through the plastic. Slid that down, and if I would have drilled a little bit further away from that yellow nugget, I could have had a bit of silicone hosing pushed up tight underneath to double seal it. But I've drilled a hole in mine now. That will do. I'm going to put this back in the tank, and then I'm going to bend that over so it's in the same shape as the fuel lines. Then a bit of silicone hosing. I have used, some people might say you can't use it. Well, I have. This is 3mm, you can tell that. It says 3mm. 3mm silicone black hosing, proper silicone hosing. I've used this on my diesel heater in my Transit for about 5 years. It's not split and cracked. The black hosing that comes in the diesel heater kits, I've had that crack within 6 months. This stuff, black silicone hosing, 3mm, has lasted 5 times longer. That I'll then run along the lines of the tank and put the tank back up, and I'll just block that off for now until I'm ready to install the heater, and that will actually clip in around the hoses on the tank and look proper. That's the plan anyway. Let's get this back in, make sure it all works. Wires are on. I'll just half remember, bit of a squeeze, the cable tie. There we go. There we go. Let me just double check. Yes. And what I remember from the first time I took this out is these 2 pipes lined up with these 2 circles on the tank. Easy way to remember the way it went. And just look around at the bottom of the rubber. You need to make sure it's all going in square, because it does try to fold over. So forget what I said about putting the rubber on first. Rubber goes all the way down into the tank, and that goes into it. We're not all perfect, and if you are watching this video because your fuel gauge doesn't work, if you know someone with VAGCOM, VCDS, you can do a output test on the clocks. Go to instrument cluster, I think it's group 17 or 18, output test, and you can test the sweep of the fuel gauge. I didn't do that. I went straight in for the kill and went for this. I then need to run a piece of copper line the length of the tank and end up where the fuel lines come out. So we are going to say let's put an extra bit on just in case, about that long. And that, there is actually a small clip in the tank for it to clip into. Let me sort these hoses out and prepare myself for getting the tank back on. Got all my pipes on, and I have got the copper line popped into the recesses, which is nice. Looks factory, OEM. I am going to go get some clips to put on these, just so the internet don't shoot me down. This is tight. That bit of silicone hosing we popped over there, that is really tight. You can go to the extra effort, chop the little nipple off that's underneath and push a bit of silicone hosing from the bottom, then you've got double sealing. My copper line was tight to push in the plastic, that is tight on there, that is sealed. If you're concerned, you can put another bit of silicone on the inside, double squished. I'm going to shimmy this under, get some clips, and let's see how to lift it up on my own, because I had a helping hand last time I done it, but I'm on my own. Let me slide this under and work out a solution. I have got the tank roughly in place. I am going to try lift it up on one end with a few chocks and lift the other end up. You can obviously use bits of wood, 4x2 or something like that. And I'm going to lift this end up. Oh, I've made a little mess, but not loads. And I'm not soaked in it yet, so all is good. God, it's still heavy. Is that enough for the jack? Where's the jack gone? Might be enough. I'm going to pull that middle strap out first of all. Obviously when you're taking it apart, take the outside straps off first. If you had a full tank, I would definitely recommend emptying some out. It does look a little bit wet this end, and that's because of the fuel cooler, diesel cooler. So hopefully I don't get soaked in diesel. The strap's a little bit bent and twisted. That's annoying. It was like it when I first took it off. Happy, and that's lined up in there. Now I'll let the jack down and put the middle brace on. I've got something in my eye. So, not too bad. I'm not soaked in diesel. Got something in my eye. But I'm not, I'm gonna have to go look in the mirror. But I'm not soaked in diesel. The same theme as a few of the past videos, a handful of days later, and fuel gauge doesn't work. Got the tank back on, no problem, everything went to plan. Only got a little bit of diesel on my left arm, not as much as the first time, whole back was soaked. Fuel gauge still don't work. What an absolute pain in the backside. Ended up, I did manage to get a replacement set of clocks. These aren't mine. I plugged these in, and obviously it doesn't work because they're immobilised and runs through it. But ignition on, fuel gauge works. Fuel gauge goes up to just near a quarter, works perfectly. So I take it, something's wrong with my dash clocks. I did do a bit of Google searching, and it seems that the T5 clocks are a common issue to go wrong. So I need to take them out and send them off at a place called ECU testing. There is a few others. But it seems that I need to send my clocks off. Bit of a pain, but I want it to work, so we'll do that at a later date. And as it is a few days later, I have been on my London Christmas lights trip, and I can say the T5 was absolutely brilliant. Didn't miss a beat. We had a nice time, saw lots of London. It was busy. I did take a video. I'll put that up this coming Sunday. I'll put it up in the morning on Christmas Eve, and that way you guys can watch a Christmas themed DTE video. Me and the missus and the kids, it was good actually. Hopefully you watch it and hopefully you enjoy it. Anyway, back to the clocks, or back to the van. No fuel gauge. What a pain. So we went to London, no fuel gauge, so I had to put extra fuel in, not wanting to run out. That's not even Skip Banger, that's someone else today. So I did have extra fuel in the back, just in case we run out. Got a 10 litre can in the back. We didn't run out of fuel, but it's a bit nerve-wracking. You're driving in the middle of London, in the winter, missus and kids in the motor, and the fuel gauge says, empty, you're tight, put some fuel in it. We haven't run out. But the day after I come back, I had another idea to read the fuel gauge, and I didn't do it for London. Don't know why. I completely forgot. Let me show you what I've rigged up. Excuse the mess of wires. Some of this is temporary, permanent. Some of this is just add-on to get the fuel gauge working. I have rigged up an aftermarket fuel gauge that is temporarily, permanently sat there, and it's on a quarter. So it's reading the same as what those dash clocks read. So I'm confident that that is reading right. That was a 10 quid fuel gauge, and how I've rigged it up, we've got the power socket just rolling about. Everything's fused before anyone panics and shoots me in the comments. Everything's fused, so if we had a bit of arcing out, it's fine. This is the plug, red plug, lives under the passenger seat. And in that red plug, 2 thick wires, they are your fuel pump. 2 thin wires, they are the fuel gauge. I've disconnected those with a locking pin to get the terminals out, and I have hooked those straight to that gauge. One of the wires, which is brown, I can only take that's earthage, that goes up to the earth on the secondary battery, and we've got the earth for the gauge. And when you get the instructions to that gauge, it says if the gauge reads wrong or backwards, to earth out the white wire. So I have, crudely, with a crocodile clip, we've got the black, the white, and the extra earth that runs to the fuel gauge, and then the blue wire is the level sensor, or the signal wire, and it's working. So if you're in a right pickle, you need a fuel gauge, and you haven't the time to send your clocks off or something like that, you can disconnect your fuel level sender wires from the red plug, which is under the passenger seat. You can then hook them up to an external fuel gauge. We're reading, and if I disconnect this, we're down. Is it going to come back on? Sweet. So it does work. So now I know what fuel we've got in. I need to get hold of ECU testing, email them, phone them up, see if they can have a look at the clocks. Worst case, we need to get some replacement clocks. I can't use that set. Need to get replacement clocks with the same part number and then get them coded in. Either way, bit of a pain, but we want it to work. It's a common problem on the T5. I haven't fixed the issue, but I have got a working fuel gauge, and that will do for now. I need to tidy all this up, make it look a bit prettier, and we need to do the secondary battery install a bit prettier, because we've got pushy wires and twist wrap going on, but it works, so it's good enough for the girls we date. So as mentioned, it isn't the fix I was hoping for, but we've got a working fuel gauge, and that is better than no fuel gauge. I need to tidy these up and make it look a bit prettier, because the kids are going to step straight on them. As soon as they get in the van, they're going to step straight on that. They're going to pop all the fuses and probably blow my new gauge up. The gauge was only a tenner on eBay. Fuel gauge, if you're going to go down this route temporarily, permanently, because you could mount it on a pod up there and it's fixed. Remember, read the instructions. It read wrong until I earthed out the white wire. It changes the ohms, range, reading, I don't know, something like that. As I say, not the outcome I was hoping for the end of this video. I was hoping to show you DTE fixed, fuel gauge all working. But what it does tell me is everything in the tank is working well. The wiring loom, which is also a common problem, which comes up to this red plug, that's working fine. Then the wiring that runs to the clocks is also working fine, because when we plug this this set of clusters in, it all works as it should, but I can't run it because the immobiliser. So all the wiring and everything to the clocks is working. Happy days. Probably worked in the first place and we put a new level sensor in it for no reason. But it is what it is. Process of elimination. That's going to about do it for this one. I haven't fixed it, but we've sort of fixed it, got it working. We've at least worked out what's going on. I need to make a snag list of any other little bits that don't work. Passenger window don't work on the missus side. It did work, now it don't work. So it's got to be a loose connection somewhere. So I'm going to write a little snag list of things we want to get through. I have bought some bigger wheels. I've got some 19s. I haven't gone for 20s. I wanted a little bit of comfort, so I've gone for 19s and got some slightly bigger tyres. Not full swamper look with like massive off-road knobblies, but just slightly bigger tyres, bit more comfort. Your alloys last longer because you're not rolling on rubber bands. But they will be in a video. I will put a video out between Christmas and New Year. I'll be down here playing with stuff because I can't sit indoors all the time, be bored. A whole day off Christmas Day is enough, so maybe Boxing Day. I have got a video on the London Lights trip. I've already mentioned that. That'll be up Christmas Eve. I'll put it up in the morning. See how it goes. It doesn't matter. Anyway, all the usual YouTube stuff. Drop a comment, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.